Continuing coverage now of President Trump's call to launch an investigation into his unsupported claims of widespread voter fraud. Let's bring in A.B. Stoddard, associate editor at RealClearPolitics.com. It is the reporting of Fox News that widespread voter fraud did not happen. There's no evidence that any widespread voter fraud happened. There never has been. What is this really about?
Well, we heard Sean Spicer, the press secretary, come out yesterday and reiterate several times that it is the president's belief that this has happened. And he said many times it's a belief he maintains according to studies and evidence he's received. And then he cited the Pew poll that even Pew has said was misinterpreted. And there is
actually
no
showed there
evidence.
was none.
Right. There's no evidence of large voting fraud. So what you saw today was John Roberts of Fox News asking Sean Spicer, didn't the president's lawyer, when Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, asked for a recount in key battleground states, didn't your lawyer submit a statement saying that basically that there, as of their assessment, there was no fraudulent activity in this election in 2016, and that's when Sean today went on to talk about people being dead who are on the rolls and registered in several states. That all sounds fine, and there can be an effort state by state to clean up voter rolls. It turns out two of the incoming Treasury Secretary and the chief strategist for President Trump, both Steve Bannon and Steven Mnuchin, are both registered in two states. People do die and they do move. But that is different from charging that there was 3 to 5 million illegal votes that somehow the Democrats managed at a national level to affect in 50 state elections, and then of course let her lose in 3 battlegrounds. So that's a totally different thing. And if he calls for this investigation, Shep, we really have no idea how it's going to be handled. Elections are handled by the states, not by the federal government. It's why it's so hard to rig an election, and we're interested to know how much this is going to cost the taxpayer.
John Bussey from the Wall Street Journal suggests that the big picture is here: start an investigation, find some incidents here, there, and yon of voter fraud, get people whipped up, and then put in rules to suppress the vote across the country. A pattern that we've seen.
That's what the Democrats are afraid of.
A pattern that we've seen in state after state over the past, 4 or 5 years.
This is what the Democrats are afraid of. The Supreme Court struck down part of the Voting Rights Act. You have seen all this concern about Senator Sessions becoming Attorney General because Democrats are afraid he'll use the Justice Department to take further action to restrict voting. Right now, they have been very concerned about voter ID laws passed in different states across the country, and then the end of some early voting hours, which hindered more access to voting in key states in this election, like Ohio and North Carolina. So that's a big concern on the Democrats' part. I don't think President Trump gave any indication that that's what he's going to do. But when reporters said yesterday repeatedly, if this was the biggest, most widespread voter fraud ever, why wouldn't he investigate it? It seemed as if that was the response this morning, so that Sean Spicer wouldn't have to continue to answer questions about that.
The list of falsehoods from the president is growing. Does this have a cumulative effect?
Well, it's really unfortunate with all of the flurry of activity that he's embarked on in terms of policy measures this week, that he has stepped on his own story about photos that are, the crowd assessments that were demonstrably false, and sending his press secretary out to lie on Saturday night. And then now this, telling congressional leaders, who know better. I guess they were politely silent, and then making this a big deal for Sean Spicer to defend again yesterday to reporters is a mistake. It's stepping on message. It's a waste of time, and it obviously hinders his credibility around the world and the credibility of our democracy.
A.B. Stoddard from RealClearPolitics.com. A.B., thank you.